Ohm is the 8 frequency, 8 hertz frequency, and it creates life. It's creating life. So that's why in the Vedas they talk about the Om as that UFO or unified field object, right? That then creates or intermingles with matter and energy, creating the universe, creating the gods, the goddesses, the plants, the planets, everything, including us. And it's very interesting too, just in general science, I believe it was in the 60s, they built the first super large radio telescopes to try and measure space, and get any contact in case there was aliens out there. This was all part of Carl Sagan's group. They were really looking for, like SETI and all these groups that were looking for alien life. They built huge radio telescopes to point into the universe to see if there was any frequencies, any radio frequencies coming. And what happened is wherever they pointed this thing, they would get a frequency, a constant frequency. And they thought, oh, maybe like there's a bird like doing its business in there, and it's the echo of that, or like maybe something's wrong. So they cleaned them all out, they rebuilt them. But someone else was building one, and they were getting the same thing over in Europe. And so what they realized is the universe itself is emitting a sound. It's emitting a frequency. Anywhere you point in the universe, there's a frequency there. Okay, that vibrational frequency is keeping life together. Now we know 90% of the universe, the material universe, is
hydrogen.
Hydrogen, exactly. Hydrogen. And hydrogen also is an 8 hertz molecule. It's number 1 on the periodic table of elements. Okay, it's 8 hertz. So hydrogen itself is a life vibration. It is life vibration. So, and it's one of the key elements of water. Right? And wherever there's water, we find life. That's been the sort of the rule, the model. In space exploration, when they're looking for planets that could perhaps sustain life, that could perhaps have life, they're looking for water, and they found it. Many planets, many moons out there have water, and so it's the interesting thing is that these ancient people, like the rishis of India, that gave us yoga, that gave us Ayurveda, that gave us that cosmology, that had these mantras. They had Sanskrit language, which also was based all on frequency. Just like this. This is actually the model for the Sanskrit language. The 50 different letters fit in here and cascade out. So I actually didn't include them in this. Right? We decided because it was too complex to write each letter in between each place. We left it out, but that's the Shiva Shakti Yantra, which is the model for the Sanskrit language. And as you can see, it's the male and the female joined. Male being consciousness, or that vibrational Om, and female being Shakti, being all the matter and energy in various forms, hydrogen in its various forms. And their merging is what creates the universe itself. Right? Vibrational frequency with energy then cascades out into multiplicity, into the ever-expanding universe, or multiverse. And just the amazing thing is that a lot of this stuff and a lot of this wisdom was ancient, and we somehow lost connection. And that's where my trip to Peru comes in, is that, I've been studying yoga for a long time and doing asanas and doing these, wonderful exercises of controlling my breathing and controlling my body for decades now. And yet I never experienced or saw anyone or met anyone that came close to what they're describing in the ancient Puranas, the Vedas, the ancient books on yoga, which describe these yogis as almost like supernatural beings, having all these powers and interactions with gods and goddesses, and being like superhumans. Right? All I meet is nice, flexible people in the yoga world. Which is great, but I'm wondering, where's all this stuff coming from the ancients? Is it all just made up stories? Like, are these ancient comic books or what? I don't think so. People don't go through great lengths of preserving ancient comic books, right? Ancient comic books ends up in the trash, usually. Right? This was something more. This was something really important. Now, luckily, in the last few decades, there's been some explorers that have gone into the jungles and they've tested all these different plants. That are talked about in these ancient scriptures. And from Egypt, you have the Assyrian rue in Egypt. You have the Soma of the Rig Veda from India. And of course, in the jungles of South America, you have still practicing to this day the shamanic cultures revolving around ayahuasca. And what all these substances contain is harmaline, penoline, and these molecules are 8 Hertz resonance frequency molecules. Okay? And what they've discovered now is that harmaline and these 8 Hertz molecules that are found in these certain plants cure leukemia. They cure over 27 so-called incurable diseases. Okay? They cure gamma radiation poisoning. They are antibacterial, antifungal. And these are just the physical remedies. Now in the jungle, they've been using these for forever. The shamans, you make up ayahuasca brews. If you have a parasite, the people of Peru are very practical. You know, they work 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's just their idea of life. They're not into like anything else really. So if they're going to go to ceremony and they're doing it to be cured most of the time, right? Westerners come like us and we want to have these mystical experiences and we're all interested in this really, you know, far out stuff. They're very practical. They're just like, okay, my baby's got a stomach ache, we got to do something. And so they use the plants on a very practical level, and these plants are curing plants. They're not fun to take, right? You got to it's like taking your medicine, right? Tastes bad, it's really gross. The effects can be very nauseating and discombobulating. But they've been used for a long time for a reason. And we've now just discovered through testing these molecules that are contained in this ayahuasca and different plant medicines of South America and now worldwide to isolate harmaline, penoline, and these different molecules that cure and also create DMT cascades in the mind and open us up to other worlds. Point blank, they open us up to other worlds. Now, these plant entities that have a tendency to be coming back over and over again in people's experience and across different people's experiences, right, from different places. These entities tend to come in the form of, most common with ayahuasca is an anaconda. An anaconda. Not everybody experiences that, but this is also what's associated in India as the Kundalini snake. And also in Egypt, when you always see the gods and the leaderships with the snake on the mantle and the snake in their garb, right? Also signifying that they have a relationship with this plant and they're getting information from this particular plant. Okay? Even the Anunnaki, which is described in the Sumerian, are all plant gods. And they've all been identified and their relationships. So when they describe these different gods and goddesses, what they're describing is these beings that they're meeting, or these entities that they're meeting in their shamanic experience, in trance-like state, under the influence of these different plant medicines. Okay? And the beautiful thing is, and what Ananda was able to describe to us, is the beautiful thing is you don't have to go to the jungle and find ayahuasca. It's very dangerous because there's a lot of shamans there that are making up brews. You don't know what's in there. You don't know exactly what's gonna happen once you take it, because it is unpredictable. It has a serious effect on your DNA. It has an effect on your body, an extreme effect. It's literally changing your DNA. It is literally transforming you, curing you. But depending on how sick you are, the curing process could be painful. It could be long and painful, right? If you're healthy, it has less effect. The effects are more mental and maybe even just unconscious within the DNA itself. I was lucky because my yoga practice and my diet and everything keeps me really clean. So I was able to go and have experiences down there without having really ill effects. But I did witness a lot of people having very ill effects from it. But they all felt better the next day, like they were letting go of some terrible old sadness or fear or sickness. So, and the range of people, it's not like it was young college kids. It was a lot of older people, a lot of sick people, a lot of people that just wanted to get well. And of course people that were just curious. And another big component of this work is sound. Once again, it's not only just chemical frequency and cascade frequency of the plants, it's in combination with songs. In the Vedas, they sang a lot of songs, right? They sang different mantras, and they sang different vibrational songs, just like we do before we do our practice. And these songs have a vibrational effect on you, right? Just like music. When you listen to certain music, it can lift you up, it can give you energy, it can make you smile, it can make you dance. It has an effect. There's been studies with plants. Plants like music, right? You play classical music and different nice music, the plants grow healthier, right? So music has a sort of a vibrational field of which interacts with our molecular structure. And so all of these things have sound as well. So in South America and in Peru, the shamans sing Icaros. They sing these kind of channeled songs which range from almost insectoid sounding to bird to sometimes you'll hear different words in Spanish and perhaps in their own language, and then every once in a while you'll hear an English word in there. In my last session I heard a lot of Sanskrit words, which is very interesting because the shaman is Shipibo, and I'm sure he's never heard Sanskrit in his life. He's lived in the jungle. And so for him to channel Sanskrit, a lot of Sanskrit words, and oddly enough 6 of us that were there in that ceremony had all been, 6 or 7 of us had been to India for extended lengths of time. So India was a huge part of our experience, and what we were carrying with us. And for him to channel that through his songs, and for many of us to identify and hear that and talk about it the next day was extremely interesting. It shows that there's interactions happening with knowledge, at the very least knowledge, if not archetypes, that are cross-cultural, that are not limited to any place or time, and are obviously with us, no matter where we go. So that was very reassuring for me, and really just very mind-blowing for me, because I could also hear, I could feel and hear that sort of protective energy that I associate with through their songs as well. The songs made me feel very comforted and very safe, which was not the same as it was in other experiences, where the Icaros sometimes were challenging me, very much. So it's definitely territory, new territory. It's undiscovered territory. There's a few of us that are going into this this world, this spirit world, if you will, that is available through only a few means. Plants, specific plants, and as I was about to describe, as Ananda describes, even if all the plants become illegal, or you never want to go to South America, or you never want to drink any nasty stuff, there's always darkroom therapy. Right? And darkroom therapy is like sensory deprivation. It's going into a dark room for 16 days is what's recommended. And that means no light at all. Now what they've discovered through these darkroom experiences, as of day 8, your brain actually starts to make harmaline, phenylaline, and run it along with tryptophan and different B vitamins, and you're going to make all of these molecules. Your own brain will synthesize and make these molecules, these healing molecules, which are the same as contained in Assyrian root and ayahuasca and soma and these different mystical